You made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. This episode is sponsored by Imaging Services, Chiro Health USA, Chiro Moguls, Chiropractic Rocks, True Weight Solutions, The 100-Year Lifestyle, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, Ultimate Entrepreneur Opportunity, Brain Tap, Sherman College of Chiropractic, and Chiro Pro Accounting. Let's hustle.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 240 of the Chiro Hustle podcast. I am your co-host, Luke Millette, and here's your host, Jim Chester.
So today we had the opportunity of interviewing Jordan Tanko. If you want to hear more about how a guy can come from near death to thriving, stay tuned. Hey everybody, Jim Chester here with
Luke Millette.
And this is episode
240
of the Chiro Hustle podcast. We have Jordan Tanko coming in from
Ankeny, Iowa.
Sweet. And we are coming in from Grand Junction, which is the Grand Valley of Colorado. And it's really an honor to have you on with us today. Thank you for being our guest.
You bet, man. Thanks for having me. I'm stoked. It'll be a ton of fun. I'm grateful to be here.
Yeah, you have quite the journey to be on the other side of this microphone with us. I know a lot of people out there have been following your story for the past couple of years, but for those of them that don't know you or that do know you that need to get reacquainted with you, can you just share with people your chiropractic story and how you got into this profession? And then we'll follow up with what's been going on over the past couple of years and where you are today.
Yeah, you bet. So the skinny on it is I was about 13 years old. My brother was driving me to the middle school one morning before he went to the high school to drop me off. And it was December 11th, really cold out, foggy. The fog started to freeze to the road and it made a bunch of black ice. And we were going around an S-bend and he started to spin out of control. Tried to put us into the ditch, couldn't do it. Saw a car coming. We got T-boned on my side. I broke about 12 bones. My left femur, my pelvis in 4 different places, the front, both sides, the back, 5 ribs. One of my ribs broke off and punctured my lung, so I had a collapsed lung, brain swelling, brain bleeding, major concussion, and the seatbelt, which coincidentally saved my life, also ruptured my spleen, so I needed a splenectomy. Pronounced dead on arrival, and I was unconscious for about two and a half weeks, and then in the ICU for 2 weeks. I was in the hospital for about 4 to 6 weeks, something like that. They told my parents, if I was lucky enough to live, I'd be, probably mentally handicapped or wheelchair bound, medicated for a lifetime on some level. And my mom met the chiropractor, and my life changed forever. So I knew at a young age that's what I wanted to do.
Thank you for sharing that. A lot of people don't realize that the trauma that some people go through and how they actually get into chiropractic. Some people are like, oh yeah, it was a sports injury, or, I fell off a horse.
Right.
You've been through some trauma, and, you wouldn't be where you are today without learning through that. And I think you've also learned quite recently what it's like to, come back to health from, a very challenging time in your life. Do you mind sharing that with people where you have been on this journey over the past couple of years? Yeah,
you bet. I've been through a decent amount. But I don't know, 2 years ago or so, I was diagnosed with cancer, testicular cancer at the age of 28 or 29. And it's interesting, it's like as a chiropractor, you're the epitome of health. You are the role model of health in your town. So to be the young chiropractor who got cancer is a really strange thing to work through emotionally. And so, I got diagnosed, and I'm like, of course, honoring the principle of chiropractic, that's what I did first. So I'm gonna beat it myself. I'm gonna do it all naturally. Went to Mexico for 2 weeks and did a bunch of stuff there. Did every crazy diet you can think of. And unfortunately, nothing, I don't want to say didn't help, but it just wasn't slowing it down. So it got to the point to where So I had two tumors in my left testy, metastasized and created a mass in my abdomen. And it got to the point to where it was about the size of a papaya, football-ish size, pretty nice size. And then I got to a point where it got so big, it was pushing on my ureter, causing hydronephrosis, essentially not allowing urine to leave. And that was a really scary time for me because, going to the bathroom and nothing coming out was scary. And of course, I'm in a boatload of pain. Like I can't even, it's very hard to articulate how much pain I was in. And I was in that pain for like 4 to 6 weeks, and it continued to get worse and worse. And I was taking enough pain medication to put a horse to sleep. And I felt sober it wasn't working. So it got to a point where it's like, I've done everything I could on the natural side, and I got to make a decision here soon, because if I don't, cancer is not going to kill me. The hydronephrosis will, probably within 6 days, it would have killed me. So I said, all right, well, if the chemo buys me anything longer than 6 days, sign me up, let's go. So last resort, resorted to chemo, shrunk the tumor, thank goodness. And then after 4 rounds of chemo, the tumor was still present. So then we got it surgically removed. And then 4 or 5 months after that, it came back. And this time it was in my liver. Not good. The 2 places you definitely don't want cancer will be in your pancreas or your liver. So then thank God it was, and it wasn't a very easy surgery that time around, because it was in all 3 different lobes of my liver. So the surgery wasn't an easy one. But then we did high dose chemo first, because we, did the regular stuff, whatever, initially. And it brought my tumor markers normal, but, just, I guess, wasn't enough, whatever. And the thing that they're afraid of in the chemo world is we don't want to introduce the chemo to the body too many times for a number of reasons, but we just don't want any resistance to be built up. So it's like we gave it the full thing. So I was actually, I practiced a little bit of the quarantine, because high dose chemo, I'm in the hospital for 30 days and I can't leave. The chemo treatment was only over like a 3-day period, but I had to stay in there for 27 more days because I literally didn't have an immune system at all. So I couldn't leave. And I had to do that 2 different times. And even after all that, my tumor markers still normal, but the tumors were still present in the liver. So anyway, we got the surgery, got them surgically removed, and tumor markers are still normal today. That was a year ago, last January-ish, something like that. And here I am today. So tumor markers are still normal. I'm healthy. I'm strong. Life is good. I'm very happy to be around, to say the least.
So as you went on your journey, were there any like motivational quotes or words of wisdom or mantras that kept you strong and kept you going?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Totally. There definitely was. I think the biggest thing for me was, my wife, number one, biggest support system in my life. I would also say that she, as the caretaker, they oftentimes don't get enough credit. And I would argue and say that she went through more trouble than maybe I did. So she was number one, but it's so interesting, like, I don't know if there was a specific quote that really helped me through it, but, God helped me through a lot, all of it. But one of the things that I've really come to realize through meditation and just different practices is, and also when you come so close to death so many times in your life, you almost become null of it, or it becomes, I don't know, you just get to a point where you lose your fear of it. And I've had some other things that have helped me do that too. But when you can really get to that point in your life where you don't fear death anymore, it gets really fun. Life gets really, really fun. And unfortunately, I think I don't know if anything else could have gotten me to that point had it not have been for this experience. So I'm actually grateful for it.
So this is kind of off the record question, but
Please.
on the record since it's live, but were you getting adjusted while you're going through all of this?
Yeah. Not as much. Well, I mean, I was up until the high dose chemo. It was more difficult then, but shout out to my homeboy, Dr. Jacob Young. He practices in Iowa City, and that's where I was getting the high dose chemo. So bless his heart. He took time off of seeing his patients, and he would come over, once in a while to adjust me in the hospital, which was amazing. Because I literally couldn't leave. I'm in my hospital room. I could leave the room and like circle around the floor, but other than that, I couldn't leave. I couldn't even go into the hallway or go downstairs or whatever. Like I couldn't leave that area. And there's only so many times you want to walk around the same path over and over. So I just laid on the bed for every day. So yeah, I was getting adjusted through the high dose part, which was extremely helpful.
So I know that chiropractic, they say that it's not supposed to make you feel better, it's supposed to make you heal better.
Mm-hmm.
So what is your response to that based on your experience?
I think it's both. It's not clearly, I don't think too many people would argue with that. And maybe I understand that, why we don't like to focus on symptoms and stuff like that. Totally get it. Obviously it makes you feel better, especially if you're sitting in a hospital bed for 24 hours a day, every day for a month. It makes you feel really good. But also just with this, just helping stimulate my immune system too, was huge because I literally didn't have any. Like I had zero. There was a time where I had no white blood cells. They didn't exist. So just to be able to stimulate the nervous system, to boost the immune system, just to get the body working better as I was being bombarded with a lot of things that hard for my body to process, it was extremely helpful during that time, for sure, 100%.
Yeah, I was just curious, so many times there's like these dogmatic approaches of, don't tell people that chiropractic is supposed to make you feel better, supposed to make you heal better.
Mm-hmm.
But like you're saying, if you're sedentary and you're not moving around and you're weak,
right,
you need somebody to give you some care of health. And that's what I was talking to you off air about was, chiropractic is a care of health system. It's not a healthcare system.
Mm-hmm.
And when you get that care of health restored to you and you get somebody that actually puts their hands on you and can adjust you, there's the other side of that case is people are like, well, you can't tell people that chiropractic has an effect on people's immune systems. And I guess my next off the record question is, what is your rebuttal to people that say that like it doesn't affect your immune system by getting adjusted?
My rebuttal would be, a lot of people who say those things just haven't looked at any of the literature around it. It's fair. If you do your homework and you look into it, and if you actually bother to do more than, because it's obvious, right? Like neck pain, back pain, it's clear because you feel it almost instantly in a lot of cases, right? But like it's very difficult to be like get adjusted and be like, oh wow, I can feel my immune system's working much better. My endocrine system is just through the roof today. You know what I mean? Like you don't feel it. So it's objectively or innately a hard thing for us to kind of get a grasp of. But the literature has been clear for a long time around that and the nervous system's influence on that. So I guess I would just say not to be, it's almost like someone would want to be a science denier to say that.
So if chiropractic has helped you this much, how do you think the world would change if everyone started seeing a chiropractor?
Oh boy, that's an awesome question too. I think it would just be the coolest thing for, the chiropractor to be the first line of entry for, dang near anything. And they might have to refer a lot of people out, but it's like, hey, if they were the first people to at least see, I think the world we could cut pharmaceutical costs. We could cut, iatrogenic deaths through the roof. But not only those things, but just increased vitality and quality of life, which I think is really important. I think that's a big part that the world's missing today, because we focus so much on sickness, disease. all of these things. But in terms of like, hey, I want to flip the conversation on vitality, longevity, and also just, with my experience, I have a much clearer idea, and I understand that tomorrow is not guaranteed. So as much as I like to plan for the future and do those things, living good today is important, because, a lot of times people are like, oh, I don't want to go, it's expensive, whatever, this and that. And it's like, but they're willing to pay out the roof for meds, and, they'll be cranky for weeks because their back hurts or whatever the thing is. So I think it would just make such an impact.
Well, there's those cliche statements, like chiropractic adds years to your life and life to your years. And, there's just the attachment of like the sing-song approach to like, if you get adjusted, it's going to improve the quality of your life, and it's going to make you a better husband, a better coworker. It's going to, and then the other thing is what is it? You can pay for health now or pay for sickness later. Like, you think about like those types of like polarizing statements, and people just don't, that's not common. People just don't commonly see those things, and they're not heard, and they're not told, and they're not shared around like the campfire or the dinner table or the water cooler anymore, or maybe even on the Zoom channels. They're not just that people aren't talking about this.
Right. Yeah, I totally agree. And I think if we could make that more of a conversation, and I mean, a lot of things I think are to blame for, I mean, I don't want to say blame, but that caused, I think, that discussion. But, we've just been trained for such a long time that it's a pill for every ill, from a kid. It's just so crazy, Jim. Like, I remember even as a child, because I saw all these commercials on TV for drugs and whatever, and kids doing it so I just thought it was the thing. And I remember I would fake a cold to my mom just so I could have the orange cough syrup because it tasted good, which is insane. I know it's insane, right? But it's like, that's the mentality that we get even from kids, right? And then we grow up into that. And, as soon, and I was blessed. My dad is unique, to say the least, but he's been kind of a health nut for almost as long as I can remember. So a lot of this stuff wasn't super new to me. He was having me drink green, he was a health nut for a long time. He would poke fun at me if I ever used the microwave as a kid. And so it was easier for me to transition when I heard the chiropractic story, because it wasn't that I mean, it was very like, aha, it was very like, wow, I can't believe it. And, but it maybe not as much for me as maybe it was for someone else, because the whole natural way of living was kind of how we did things in my house as a kid.
So with the way things are going today, where do you see the trajectory of chiropractic heading in the next 20 years or so?
If I'm being optimistic, I would say, the optimistic side of me says that, I would love to see chiropractors at the forefront of healthcare. I'd love them to be the first portal of entry for any concern, whatever it is. Well, almost any concern. That's my optimistic side. And then maybe my pessimistic side, which is a very small side of mine. It's going to be harder for the profession to continue to go in the direction where we want it to go, with lack of unity, and also with lack of, I just noticing, especially now with me changing professions too. I'm seeing a lot of different sides of both professions, but we're very proud, and we want to, we gobble up the green books, and it's all, we're all this great stuff about the profession. We're in love with it. The principle, above, down, inside out. I get it. But if we can't learn how to communicate, the public doesn't care about that, or they don't know they care about it yet, right? Like, they want to get out of pain, they want to do these things. So unless we can't get good at communicating what we do, and then also, I think one of the things I've noticed too, especially with my career change, is if we don't get really good at running an efficient business, we're gonna have no one to help. So as much as some people don't want to hear it, the business side is maybe the most important part of the profession moving forward, I think.
Yeah, I think those are fair assessments. I believe, my follow-up to that is, how do you see chiropractors working within hospitals in the future? Do you see that as something that will happen?
I think so. I think it'll almost get to a point where we kind of have to an extent, for two reasons. I think it'd be a good idea to, and it's going to be really hard for the medical profession to keep hiding their head under the sand about chiropractic. And I'm not saying they all do, but as a whole, kind of. But especially when it just comes to the traditional things people think about: headaches, neck pain, back pain, whatever. We can help greatly in that realm, avoiding opioids, and there's so many other complications that come along with the opioids, to addiction and constipate, whatever. There's a lot of negative things. So if we can, even on that front, change that, I think that would be huge. But then also at the same time, as much as, the profession may not like to hear it, I think it'd be a good strategy for the profession to get into the hospital system, and it's not like we're bowing down to the medical system, but it just will help leverage the profession and give so much more exposure, and also I think give a lot more, I don't want to say that. We'll be looked at differently by the population as a whole. And I think that is a overall good thing for the profession moving forward.
Well, I just want to give a couple analogies to this. Is you saying the medical profession kind of bearing its head in realization of what chiropractors are doing. It's the same way of like basically having a dental industry saying, yeah, but we don't believe in what orthodontists can do. Like we don't believe that they can straighten teeth. And by all means, if you don't have to brush your teeth either, just come see us and we'll fill and drill, and we'll clean them when they're necessary.
Right.
And that's really what happens with chiropractic not being influenced into the arena, is saying, yeah, you guys only help me, but you can't help them. Like, I'm only going to bring me and my family here, but we're not going to like outwardly support the chiropractic profession. But when I have headaches and when my wife gets in the motor vehicle accident, we're bringing her in, and I'm going to come see you.
Yeah, totally. And when I was practicing and when I was seeing patients, I mean, I had a ton of patients who were orthopedic surgeons, nurses, medical doctors, RNs. Like, I mean, I attracted a lot of that type of client, but, and they were some of my biggest advocates, right? Especially the ones who maybe came to me more skeptical, and then now they become my biggest advocate. And the thing I've noticed too, which is kind of sad, is like, it's almost like they kind of have to keep it a secret if they want to. I don't want to say keep their job, but like it just it's not
easy.
Yeah, keep the peace and
I got a chiropractor.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what it's kind of like. They feel like a black sheep in a sense, but I also, it's really helpful because then they tell everyone, outside of work, but it's hard to promote from the hospital point of view. If they want to continue to get a paycheck. So
yeah, we just need to learn how to win their popular vote. And they can become advocates for the profession and saying, hey, I take my family there. Why don't you?
Yeah, like bring it to the board or do something like that to make a global or a policy change or something, or probably starting at the college level too, because I've had grad students and stuff like that say interesting things that professors and things like that have told them about our profession. And it's just unfortunate, but it is what it is.
I just need to go round up a series of 12 interviews with MDs and ask them why they take their kids to the chiropractor and why they go to the chiropractor, and start going on that campaign.
That would be dynamite. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
So maybe you could touch on who have been some of your heroes in your lifetime. Who's been inspirations to you? And they don't have to be chiropractic related.
Oh man, I've had so many. Yeah, I mean, I definitely have too many to name for sure. I always tell people I have the heart of my mom and the discipline of my dad. My dad's maybe one of the hardest workers I've seen. I got that trait. Definitely didn't get his heart or his patience. But I did my mom, she's a walking saint. And then, I was very fortunate to hang out with some very driven and motivated people in school that really helped change the trajectory of my life as well. And something else I thought was really cool, and this might be fun. This is kind of off the top, but I was the chiropractor I went to as a child was a principal chiropractor, above down, inside out. But again, I was 14 or whatever at the time, so I'm just going because my mom told me to go. And then when I went to school, when I was in undergrad, I went. I knew I was going to become a chiropractor, and I was at St. Cloud State in Minnesota before I went to Northwestern, and I ended up going to a chiropractor's dinner. Loved it, heard the message. It was incredible. And, went through this. Obviously, I had like $200 in my name at that point. And so he said, I want to take care of you for free. Because I was going to go to school to become a chiropractor, right? So he wants to mentor me and put me on the right path. And he said, the only thing I asked for return, along with like washing his toilets and stuff I did in his clinic, he gave me the book, One Cause, One Cure by Dr. Fred Barge. And I had to read a chapter every week and report back to him what I learned every time I got adjusted. And I am not a reader, or I am kind of now, but like when I was younger, I wasn't at all. Like Spark notes, everything in my life. And I read the whole book in 2 days or something. Like I could not put it down. I was so innately attracted to what this book was teaching me. So I thought that was super cool. That was a huge pivot of my life, in my life, really getting to hear the story as an adult, right? Like understanding it. And I fell in love with chiropractic even more. And then obviously I've had some incredible chiropractic mentors of mine. Brad Glowacki is a big one. And many more. Again, I feel bad. So I'm probably going to leave, dozens of people out of that. But those are some of the biggest mentors in my life, I would say.
I think that the truth is your enthusiasm. The truth is all those people had a profound impact on you. Yeah. And for you to be who you are today, you're a collection of all that energy. And it's all those people. It's your mother, it's your father, it's the chiropractors, it's that first book, it's the cleaning the toilets, it's the exchange, it's the education, it's the spark notes, it's your wife, it's your struggle, it's your mom telling you just to go see the chiropractor. It's all of that.
Yeah, it totally is. And especially just with, what's kind of happened in my last couple of years of my life has been, I feel like I've learned, I've gained the wisdom of 60 years, 70 years in a 2-year period, which is overwhelming, but that was also very profound on me too.
You made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. This episode is sponsored by Imaging Services, Chiro Health USA, Chiro Moguls, Chiropractic Rocks, True Weight Solutions, The 100-Year Lifestyle, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, Ultimate Entrepreneur Opportunity, BrainTap, Sherman College of Chiropractic, and Chiro Pro Accounting. Let's hustle. So for everybody that's going to listen to this or watch this, that you're going to share it to, let's all kind of catch them up to speed. Where are you today and what are you doing with your career?
Yeah, good question. So I pivoted a little bit. It's very similar, but I one of the reasons I made the career, I'm a financial advisor now. So I help doctors and not just doctors, but, obviously it's probably not a huge surprise. Chiropractors are some of my people I work with the most. I don't know what it is, but I'm very, I make decisions on emotion and not a lot around logic. I'm not, you know what I mean by that, but I listen to the innate very, very often. And I don't know what it was, after the practice, I'm sure there was, partially some negative emotions just around it. Cause I saw patients for, the first year of having cancer, which was not an easy thing to do. So some negative emotions around just that experience. So maybe that was, one of the reasons, but I always wanted to do something I'm also very passionate about. And just through my experience, I didn't really, I don't know. God was telling me we're doing something different, bud. you're still going to make a huge impact. It's not going to be physically laying hands on people anymore. But there's someone else you got to talk to. There's a different, group of people you got to make an impact with in a different way. So I just listening the whole way. And I didn't even, through my experience, Jim, it's like money is not a motivating factor for me because, so many people work so hard for it. And I tell you what, when you're on your deathbed, you don't give up, or you don't care what kind of cars in your garage. You don't care how big your house is. None of these things that we spend so much time around matter at all. So I just wanted to have fun. I wanted to wake up and just love what I did. I don't care if I got paid $10,000 a year or $100,000 a year. I just wanted to have fun. That was kind of the goal. But I also wanted to be self-employed. I don't really like the idea of a boss telling me what to do. And then, we were kind of talking about this off the air, but I had a meeting with my advisor a year ago. And then, when we got done talking, he called me back right away and said, "Hey, Doc, do you ever think about doing what I do?" And I was like, "Well, not really, but tell me more." And we chatted for a while and it started to check all the boxes. Self-employed, I own my own business, which is awesome. And the longer I started to think about it, it's really not different at all. The biggest difference is I just don't physically adjust as many people anymore. And now I just don't, instead of thinking myself as a doctor of one's physical health, I just think of myself as a doctor of one's financial health. Really similar. I diagnose problems. I figure out a solution to them. My x-rays are now just a different, I just do things a little bit differently, but it's almost the exact same. And I get to work with 80% of my clients are chiropractors. So I get to hang out with my profession all day long. So it's just like, I couldn't ask for a cooler, better career to be in. It's really fun.
Yeah. I think that's like kind of a proud moment is to realize that you can still do things that are fulfilling to you, even if you've had to change the chapter and you've had to write the next chapter differently. And I think that's a big boost of confidence when you can smile the way you are right now, knowing that you're doing something fulfilling.
Yeah, no, it really is. And that's one of the things I just try, I want to just try and teach people through my experience. It's just been such a blessing to see not just the profession, but everyone at large just supporting me and sending me stuff throughout the whole thing. And they still check in on me, and which is a huge, huge blessing. But, one of the big things I like to try and get across to people is that, there's so many things, especially as chiropractors, that and I'm guilty. I was guilty of this too. Like there's always something that you can find to beat yourself up with. Oh, they didn't say yes, I suck. Oh, there's not enough new patients this month. Whatever, there's so many things to do that. And it's like, dude, you got to practice. You have patients to see. Like there's stressing about the small things, I think is really unfortunate that we get caught in that. And because I didn't care how many people I was seeing a week when I was diagnosed. I was just happy to be alive. I was happy that I could have a job. There's so many things around it. And it's really fun for me to hear people when they tell me, how my stories impacted them. And it's very humbling, and trying to teach people to get over the silly things that we experience in the physical reality of some of the emotions that dictate our actions, fear, judgment, anger, all of these things. It's a hoax, man. It's just a joke. Like, these are things that are created by many different things, but when you can really let go of some of these things, like for example, I was a doctor, I had to dress a certain way, I had to act a certain way, I had to have a certain opinion. I couldn't do X, Y, or Z because I was afraid of being judged by the public because I'm a chiropractor, I'm a doctor, I have to hold, to a certain level. And I will be honest, the last 3 months I was seeing patients. I came into my clinic with jeans, a white t-shirt, and a backwards hat every day because that was me. And I made more money in the last 90 days of my practice than I ever did in practice because it was authentic. You know what I mean? I wanted long hair. Initially, I wanted dreadlocks. I don't know if I'll do it anymore because I like my but I wanted them, and it's like I didn't do it because I was afraid of what people would think of me. And I think that's the craziest thing. And I think it's so unfortunate. We get so caught up in that. I'm going on a tangent, but
no, please do.
I think it's it robs us of so much joy, and that's what life is a game, and games are meant to have fun. So it's like we're all created so unique. We're all created so differently and special. And I think that's something to be proud of, you know, like to shine, to show what makes you unique. Not everyone's going to like it. That's cool. Like if you fake it, not everyone's going to like it too. So it's like, get over it. Like you can't make everyone happy, but you can make yourself happy. And one of the things that makes yourself, I've noticed, at least talking, you know, from experience for me, is really being true to who you are and not being afraid what someone thinks of it. It's the most liberating thing I've got to experience. And cancer helped me figure that out, right? Like not only is it really helped me squash the fear of death, but squash the fear of judgment. Because when you think you got days or months to live, I don't care what I'm wearing. I'm wearing whatever I want. You know what I mean? Like whatever it is, it doesn't have to be clothes or whatever, but it's just like, it's so freeing when you can truly be yourself. Gosh, life gets so much more fun. So much more fun.
Yeah. It's probably one of my favorite interviews that we've ever done is just hearing your perspective on being who you are today. I think there was like, I don't remember the movie, but it was Jack Nicholson was in a movie where it was like The Bucket List or something where he just like decided he was just going to go be himself.
Yeah.
And he just realized his impact that he could make on himself if he just did what he wanted to and, you know, live the life that he wanted around people he enjoyed. And I think that that's something really special for all of us to think about. And, you know, one of the most impactful books I think I ever read was a book called Tuesdays with Morrie. And it was written by a guy named Mitch Albom.
Yeah.
And it was about this guy that he went and visited with, and he learned all these life lessons with. And I really feel like this interview today is like Wednesdays with Jordan.
Yeah.
And it's these like this, it's almost like paying homage to your profession with who you are today and letting them know that it's okay for them to be themselves as well. And I think that that's something that's mightily important when it comes to the world of professionalism. Yeah. And when it comes to being a chiropractor is you can't, like one of my first mentors in chiropractic was Fred Schofield. And he once told me that, hey, if there's a practitioner that's seeing 500 a week and you put them in a clinic that's seeing 50, guess what? They'll see 500 a week. If you take that practitioner that's seeing 50 and you put them to an office that's seeing 100, they're going to see eventually 50. So people practice to their calibration and to their threshold and to what they can actually manage as a technician of the clinic. And then if they don't have the business principles around them, like what you're helping people do, it doesn't matter if you're seeing 500 and getting nothing out of the payments, or if you're seeing 50 and making just as much as the person that's adjusting 500. Right. So I think that it's really, it's a very honest approach to what we're having a conversation on today about where you are, where you transition to, and how you're developing yourself today. So I think it's mightily important to have these types of conversations. So I appreciate you for sharing so openly.
Yeah, man, absolutely. I'm a wide open book, and anyone who wants to private message me or whatever, help work through some of the stuff. It's really fun for me because I feel like, you know, I have such a unique gift going through what I've gone through. I want to help anyone I can who's doing it. You know what I mean? Because it's really nice when people give you your sympathy and stuff like that. But if you're going through something like I did, like I was, or am, however you want to say that, it's really nice when people, you know, give you sympathy and this and that. But like no one gets it. Like unless you've done it or been through it, no one understands. So I feel like I just have such a rare, you know, understanding where I can relate with other people. So I just love to help. Love to be a resource, you know, because especially as males, we, you know, one of the other things I would encourage people to do too is like, I think crying is one of the healthiest emotions or actions one can do, really. Like, you know, because there was so much uncertainty around my stuff, around, you know, going through what I'm going through. And every once in a while, I'll still just break down and sob for like an hour every once in a while. But I always feel so much better when I do it. And, you know, especially as men, we always want to be like tough, and we're trained through media to not cry and, you know, all this stuff. But it's one of the most healing actions and emotions I think we can do. And I think squashing that as males is an important thing. Side note, but.
So you're giving us a lot of really good advice that pretty much anyone can take and adapt to their life. But do you have any advice that you would give to specifically a chiropractic student who's struggling and needs some advice?
Yeah. There could be a lot to unpack there, but I would say as a chiropractic student, for those that are listening, I hope there's a lot listening. I think one of the biggest things to figure out as a student is to figure out what's going to happen when you practice. Just because that day will come in a blink of an eye. You feel like it's a million years away. It's definitely not. To be as a T10 or 12 or 14, however all the other colleges do it, and to not know what's going to happen, it's like, dude, that's the recipe for disaster. Because now you're going to be forced into a part of the path of the profession you'll be unhappy, not fulfilling, because you didn't plan it, right? Like anything good in life never happens overnight. You don't get six pack overnight. You don't get, if you've had lower back pain for 20 years, you don't just get adjusted in 3 visits and have it go away, right? Like anything good in life or happens over an extended period of time with commitment and dedication. And I get it. Like screening for doctors while you're a student doesn't sound fun, because you got A's to get and all that stuff. I get it. Don't worry as much about getting the A's. Not saying to not study hard and stuff like that. Definitely do that, do that. But I think a big focus should be around how are you going to get patients when you open, and how are you going to run a successful business is maybe the most important thing that the students, I think, could be working on is how to communicate this beautiful thing that we have to offer the planet. Because if you can't communicate, you can be the best adjuster in the world. Because I get it, right? Like as soon as you start to learn how to adjust people, it's all you want to do. I'm going to be the best. I'm going to do this. It's like, I get it. You'll have years to master that craft. Understand. I know plenty of chiropractors who are terrible adjusters, but they make a bunch of money because they are great communicators, right? And vice versa. I know some of the best adjusters in the world that don't know how to communicate it, and they go out of business. So I think that if I could wrap it up in like a couple of minute thing, I think that'd be the number one thing advice I would give the student.
Yeah, it's humbling to realize that there's a triune of success: adjusting, diploma, and business.
Right. Yeah. And it's like a lot of the students initially get so caught up. They want to get A's in everything. There's never going to be a patient who goes, "Oh, what did you get in human biology?" That doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. So it's good to get A's. Like, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but I don't think a hyper focus around that, where other areas of your life or future practice will suffer, is not worth it, because the school's job is not to guarantee us success, and they do a fairly poor job at teaching us how to become successful in the first place. So spending extra time outside of school learning how to do that is huge.
Well, they produce test takers, and people are supposed to pass board exams.
And thank God for it, right? Like, we need to pass the boards. So good thing, optimistic side, but we got to kind of do the other part ourselves.
Yeah. I think that, that's some really good nurturing concept for people to really take into consideration as they go through the matriculation of higher education, becoming a doctor of chiropractic.
Yeah.
I think that's all really sound strategy for people to take in, because, I think I've always said this too, like even the doctor that finishes last in his class is still a doctor. and like, you don't like go and like announce that when you open up your ribbon cutting for like the Chamber of Commerce. By the way, I finished last in my class, and here I'm your doctor. Thank you for having me in your community.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
And I think sometimes with what we're doing, Dr. Jordan, is we forget how to laugh on this podcast. We're more interested in telling your story.
Yeah, I think people forget how to laugh in life in general a lot. Like, I think one of the other big things is learn to laugh at yourself is very helpful. And just don't take, and this is a BJ thing. Here, this is really good, Luke. I know you had asked me about a quote. I do have a quote. It's a BJ quote, and it makes so much sense to me, and it resonates very well. But just don't take life too damn seriously, And it's like we want to take everything so serious, and we're just blah blah blah, A's and B's, practice, money. whatever, all this stuff. At the end of the day, it's a joke. It doesn't matter. None of it does, right? So it's like, learn how to laugh at yourself, have fun. Life's a game. Games are meant to be played and have fun. So it's like to do anything less in this gift that we've been in, this physical reality, I think it robs us of joy. It really does. So I think learning how to do those things is huge.
So we're on the tail end of this interview with you today. So let's do a quick speed round.
Yeah.
You took the opportunity to do an interview today with Luke and I on Chiro Hustle. What were you hoping the outcome would be?
I would hope the outcome would be that not even chiropractors, anyone who's listening to it could gain something from my story. I would hope the outcome would be, people would be liberated to be, or at least encouraged to be themselves, or have less baggage or fear of judgment is maybe the biggest thing I would like to the outcome to be.
That's great.
So a minute ago, you were talking about having fun. What do you like to do for fun? What do you read? What are your hobbies?
You can see back here, I just got a new e-bike not long ago. This
Nice.
thing is legit. That's like one of the funnest things, my new hobby. So my wife and I, we, not anymore, not now with it being winter out, but that's maybe one of my biggest hobbies. I have 3 dogs, so I like to spend time with them. My wife and I like to rock climb. I like table tennis, regular tennis, and I like Vikings football.
What are you listening to, or what do you read?
Good question. I don't listen or read to any like novels. I just can't get down with that. I gotta read or listen to something that like benefits me in some. I'm not saying that they don't, but some sort of So I like one of the things I've been really into lately is I listen to Alan Watts. He has a lot of he's a philosopher, but he's gone now, but he has a lot of really good content on YouTube. I listen to a lot of his stuff when I meditate and kind of go through that. That's really helped me a lot. I have a mild man crush on Jordan Peterson. What else have I read recently? Those are probably the most recent things I've been into or listening to.
Cool, man. Well, thank you for sharing your fun and your interest with us.
Totally, man. Thanks for having me.
Where can people go if they want to learn more about you or your business or what you're doing, or if they want to contact you?
Yeah, I would say that the easiest way is just probably through Facebook or Instagram or some sort of social media. Facebook's probably the easiest. Otherwise, it could shoot me an email. Dr. Jordan Tanko at gmail.com would be probably the easiest way. Or Facebook is, to be honest, is really the easiest way.
You have a website?
Question. No, kind of, but it's nothing impressive. Facebook would be easier for all that stuff.
Okay.
At least, but.
Well, at that, that's our close to this wonderful interview with you. We want to thank you for being our guest today and being one of our 240th episodes of the Chiro Hustle podcast. We've been pumping strong for over 3 years now, and it's about time we had you.
Well, I tell you what, I can't thank you guys enough for having me. I'm humbled. I'm grateful to be here on the podcast, just here in general. And you guys inspire me to work harder because I know you guys, hence the name Chiro Hustle, right? Like I love what you're doing professionally for the profession. I thank you for what you do. I'm a damn proud chiropractor, and unfortunately with my new business, I don't have a ton of time to, maybe that's an excuse, but to help the profession as much as I would like to at the moment. So I can't thank you guys enough for what you're doing. It's a huge impact.
Well, thank you.
Thank you for being our guest today. And if listeners at home want to run a podcast just like ours, go to chirohustlemasterclass.com. Dr. Jordan, we hope you have an awesome rest of your day.
Likewise. Bless you guys.
Talk to you soon, brother.
See ya.
Thanks for listening to Chiro Hustle. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.